Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards Show, and I'm also the host of the Best Businesswomen Awards and the Best SME Awards. So today we are talking all things photography because I am joined by Hetal Trivedi, founder of The Beautiful Moments Visuals, a strategic brand photographer and videographer who works with female-led businesses in the health, wellness, and beauty space. Hetal also helps her clients show up confidently online through powerful story-led visuals, combining videography, video, and content strategy to create a real connection with their audience. She is known for helping even the most camera-shy business owners feel at ease. She creates authentic, scroll-stopping content that truly reflects each brand. So I am really looking forward to talking to her. She's also won 3 awards in the space of a month last year. So we're going to be talking about her business, photography tips, and also her awards journey. So welcome, Hetal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Debbie, for having me here. And I can't wait to get talking with you. And it's a pleasure to be around here with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're a passionate photographer and you had photography as a lovely, lovely hobby. And then 4 years ago, decided to set up your business. So talk us through that decision and what made you start your photography business.
Photography actually was very accidental. I had no plans. Photography did not even exist back in 2016. I used to be a primary math specialist teacher, and I've worked across schools in Birmingham. And in 2016, I was on mat leave with my youngest kid, and my husband gifted me my first ever DSLR. And I felt really guilty because I was only using it on its automatic mode, as they like to call it. So I decided to do courses just to learn how to use a digital camera. I got into it, did lots of workshops and courses to learn editing. And then I actually fell in love with it because of the reason that when I was behind the camera, everything around me looked beautiful. Something that I never realized as a mum, business, like as a woman who was working with kids. It was like fast-paced life with juggle, but camera made me pause, and it made me pause and see the beauty that was already around me, which I was missing out. So it became like something like a mindful exercise for me. So despite of going back after maternity to work, and I continued working, I used to take workshops, travel, holidays, specifically with photography in mind, because
Mm.
it was a day dedicated of me with the camera, traveling with another photographer who was teaching me techniques, yeah, so I just loved it. But business, I had never really thought because everybody in my household is an employee. So
Mm.
we've always been employees. So running a business was never something that I had anticipated. In 2022, after post-COVID, situation in schools had changed, and I was politically in a very difficult position that it impacted my health, and I had to leave my job. And when I did leave, it was time to rebuild myself. I did go back to tutoring, which I still do, very specifically with few kids. But after that, my kids and my husband renewed my entire camera kit that I'd had for 8 years because they realized that I was the most joyful when I was with camera. And so that's how they said, I think you should do something which brings you joy. And this is a like all three boys, I like to say, kind of guided me in that direction. And that's when the beautiful moments was born because I saw beauty. When even now, I see beauty everywhere when I'm behind the camera.
I love that. I love the fact that they spotted how much joy what you were doing brought to you and they really encouraged you because it sounds like they powered you forwards to go and make that step.
Yeah.
And that's not actually a common story that I hear. I actually end up hearing a lot of stories where people's partners are quite against them starting their own business because of the risks involved, let's say. It's not a reliable income anymore. So I love the fact that your husband and your children really pushed you forwards. And I guess that potentially is where your passion comes from in trying to help people who are really camera shy, have their photos taken. I am one of those people, Hetal. I absolutely hate having my photograph taken. Um, in fact, my husband is actually a photographer, and I know, and I
Oh.
hate having it done. And I have to force myself to stand in front of a camera. And I think, yeah, some of it's to do with my body image, maybe my age, I don't know. Um, so how do you go about making people feel comfortable in front of a camera? What do you do? What's the magic secret here?
I think, I mean, from my perspective, one of the first lessons in photography that I had learned, my tutor had said that the camera doesn't capture the person, the camera captures the person's feelings towards you.
Mm,
So what they feel towards you is what's going to be captured in the camera. And
mm,
that has made a massive impact in how I set up my business. Because for me, it's important that females especially feel comfortable. And let me tell you this, Debbie, I am one of those people as well who would at any given day be behind the camera than in front of it. And it is, and I think maybe that's why I understand how uncomfortable, because I know I have been there, the silent spectator behind the cameras. I would be the one taking pictures of my family but never be in the pictures, and the first thing I see is a reflection of myself, which I don't like. So what I have done is I've set up the business in a way where I do not, for me, each individual person I work with, I dedicate time.
mm,
Because I feel like the more I get to know them, the more conversations I have with them, the more comfortable they are going to get slowly. Because I'm not just a photographer who comes with the camera and takes pictures and goes back. I build those relationships. So my model for business is revolved around working with fewer female business owners, but making sure that when they come in front of the camera, they've kind of almost known me a bit more rather than
mm,
just from the inquiry stage. So what I tend to do is anybody who comes in my world with an inquiry, I arrange a Zoom call. We have a chat. Even after that, there are at least two further Zoom calls before I even pick up the camera. So it's a conversation. I make sure that we have those conversations about their business, their brand, their likes, their dislikes. And the thing that most people forget is when I'm talking to them at that time, like I'm talking to you, when they are talking, when they talk about the things they enjoy, they like, there's a twinkle in their eye. And that's the expressions are what I'm noticing as well as making notes, because I am then trying to bring that when they speak about the nice things, their face lights up. So for me, that's what, and I kind of pick up on those signs, and that's how I then try to recreate my shoot. So by the time it's shoot day, when I'm actually picking up the camera, they have already shared quite a lot about their
mm,
vision, their goals, their business. They've spoken to me. I've shared my ideas. And so I've kind of hyped them up already that we're going to be doing this. I bring props and all sorts of things. So it becomes a bit easier for them to settle down in front of the camera because I'm not no longer just a stranger who's going to come get the job done and move on. So yeah, that's I think becoming more comfortable because I want people to be
mm.
building those relationships, not just a job and move on.
Yeah, so that's your secret sauce, isn't it? You've built the foundation,
Yeah.
and they already have an element of trust with you already when they get in front of your camera. So I think that's really, really spot on advice there. And then when it comes to visual branding, it's such a massive topic now, isn't it? Because we need our photography for our social media, for our websites, for our business cards, even. So, how often should people be having photo shoots done? What would you recommend?
So, what I have seen is since I've joined the industry of brand photography specifically, I've seen there are two types of things. I mean, I'm a big advocate of longevity.
Mm,
So, for me, I prefer like spending that much time to get, say, a year's worth of content. The reason being, the more repeatable and cohesive your looks for a steady period of time, the more memorable you become in people's mind. If you're going to be changing images too frequently, yes, they will look good and they will grab that initial attention of people saying, "Oh, you look lovely. Oh, you look lovely." You know, the massive comments that follow after that.
mm,
But it does. it doesn't help with the memory part because memory is built through repetition and cohesiveness for a longer period of time. So I think definitely on a yearly or at max, I wouldn't say go beyond 2 years because again, then there is the downside of that is if we go beyond 2 years, we don't look the same as we
No,
did even last year. Our
no.
hairstyle, our hair color, and it's even those tiny little changes that our bodies go through as females. I think it's so important to reflect who we are now.
Mm,
And I can sense the energy difference as well in people. Like 2 years ago, what you might be doing in the business, there might be different elements involved, or a year ago there might be different elements involved. So I feel like there is no particular time frame but that we
mm,
should adhere to, but instead think of it as a business investment where if you are launching something new, if you're adding more arms to your business, then
mm,
definitely go for it because your previous images are not going to be reflective of that current
no.
thing that you're doing. So yeah, so I think that would be my answer. That obviously, if
Mm.
nothing changes, give it a year, let it get consistent for memorability, and then if things are changing, definitely go for those changes.
And you do videography as well.
Yes, and yeah.
Yeah, tell me more about the video that you do with businesses.
So, what I realized when I started, it was predominantly photography.
Mm,
But the more and more I started doing shoots with other female business owners and myself as well, we are pressed on time. We
mm,
juggle a lot of things. And that's where I was seeing that people were getting images done. Then they were trying to spend time again getting videos done. And for me, that was like, okay, bless them. They're already working hard. They're already stretched. I want
mm,
to give them a one-stop solution. So what I have tried to do now is make, again, my ethos revolved around longevity. So within one shoot, a 3 hour shoot, you get photos and videos within the same time because I've set up the camera, I've got all the gear and
mm.
equipment now, I've invested in. So you have got dressed, we have decided on a location. It's your time, and I am a true believer that time is the only thing that once we lose we don't get back. Time
So
again.
true.
So for me, I feel like you're investing in your time for a brand shoot, might as well get some content bank of videos. So I do b-roll content, which is again quite social media related but also can be used in email newsletters.
Mm.
I do then basically create a show reel for the brand. So from that one shoot, they can expect to get some B-roll content, some show reels as well, which they can use to advertise their business. So it's a cohesive, like collective package, which then gives them, you spend this much time with me, you get a bulk of things that you don't need to worry about afterwards.
So, if someone's got visuals, what's the one thing that they could do right now to kind of change the situation if they're not getting much traction from the visuals that they're using? What would you advise them to do?
So, first of all, look at the visuals, definitely what you have got. What I have seen is, and this is again, I think I have always been a very nerdy, sciencey person. So, for me, I have to have a reason, like there needs to be research merit behind doing something. And brand is one of the things. What I have observed is majority of the photographers and majority of the people go for lovely images, which are just looking at the camera pretty, but they don't really serve a purpose of storytelling.
Mm,
So what I think is, and this is what I'm bringing to the industry, where I'm asking people to think out of the box. So I create bespoke props. So if somebody is launching and wants to talk about saving the date, so build awareness around it, they can just use three post-it notes, different colored, right? Save
ah,
the date. It's visual. It's like a
yeah,
flashcard situation where
yeah.
your flashcards, when we show to kids, they remember it better because yeah. So I'm asking simple things like these are more of a tool to their bank of visuals than just a nice, pretty picture. So a message to any business owner would be, if you want to create something different, please look at around what props you can bring in to communicate your message, tell the story around it,
Mm. I'm
rather than.
wondering if you're combining your math specialism with the way your brain works, maybe your math specialism with your creative streak, because this is what I'm hearing that you've got this creativity, but it's also coming back from logic,
Yes.
which you don't normally see with creative people, because a lot of creative people don't necessarily have a logical brain. So that's really interesting that you're doing that, and I think that's really good. So let's talk about awards now. So, 3 awards, my dear, 3 awards in a month. Well, in fact, two were on the same day.
Same day. Yeah.
So, that is arriving on the award scene with a jazz
Yes.
hands, I think. That's
Yes.
amazing. So, talk me through your thought process last year from entering awards.
So I had applied to West Midlands Service Awards with literally since I was less than a year in my business, and I did get shortlisted. However, I didn't win. So I talked myself out of awards, thinking that because I'm a new business, I don't know, I haven't worked with that many clients yet, so I felt like I wasn't ready.
Mm,
And so last year, when I met Sandra and another lady called Emma Hewitt, we were chatting away, and the first question I asked Emma was, do you even think, like, as a photographer, I can enter awards? Because I know I'm not life saving, like, I'm not saving people's lives, and photography is a bit of a luxury expense, as they like to call it. So, I mean, I don't think I'm award worthy, like, are awards for me? And that's when she really highlighted the benefits. She said there are credible awards, because that's another thing I was quite wary of, that there are a lot of awards which do not actually
mm,
say and are not as credible as the others could be. And my reason for entering awards was, I think, so when I was working all through my life, there were appraisals. I knew how I was going, where I was progressing. But as a single business owner or a solopreneur, there is nothing like that. I'm my own boss.
mm,
So for me, I think I entered the awards with the aim that there are going to be people who've been in the industry of self-employment or running their businesses for a long time, to then put forward my application saying that I'm doing this, this, this. Is it good enough kind of stuff? It
mm,
was like an appraisal process for me.
mm,
And I really took it in that way, that I'm trying to bring this change in the photography
mm,
industry. And that's how I provided all the evidence and everything. So my reason for entering awards was the fact that I wanted that I'm going in the right direction.
mm,
And I think winning them and
mm,
the whole going through the process
mm.
was what was made it all worth it, because for example, the Best Businesswoman Awards, the application itself was such a thorough reflective piece, and I loved doing it, because for
Yeah.
the first ever time, it was the Best Businesswoman Awards that made me realize that I had in 3 years made my teaching salary from a zero to a five-figure business owner. And it doing that reflective piece of work was so important, and I'm so glad I did it, because I've found really beneficial results from it.
Yeah, so that was my next question, really. So you got 3 awards in a month. What difference has it made to your business and to you, really?
I'll start off with me. It's boosted my confidence. It's given me a direction,
Good.
because now I know that there is merit in what I'm doing,
Mm,
and that feeling is like so fulfilling in its own right. I felt quite fulfilled. I think from a business perspective, I have put more things into place to provide that holistic service for female business owners. I've become more vocal. It's like
mm,
I've now got authority to talk about this change that I'm trying to inculcate in the brand photography industry. Whereas before I was like, I don't even know if it works. I don't even know if it is credible or valuable enough for other people. But this has now given that element of credibility, that no, I am bringing something new to the table, and that I am a different photographer. It's helped me establish my USP in a very
mm.
different way. So, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm glad. That's been really, really good for you, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
So let's talk about challenges that you've overcome, because I think, when you come from a background like teaching, where the framework is there for you, you just have to show up every day and deliver. to running your own business where you are responsible for literally everything from those post-it notes through to paying all your invoices and getting clients. So, what's been the biggest challenges for you over the last few years?
I think, as you rightfully said, it's the organization
Mm,
because my day used to be so organized within the classroom setting. Everything was planned, planned, planned. And all of a sudden, this was like a free reign.
mm,
I really struggled in the first 2 years with organizing myself because there is so much to do. Prioritizing was another. I just didn't know what to prioritize. And the to-do lists were probably more than what it was in teaching. But but yeah, I think that was the biggest challenge, and I've learned to overcome it by just joining a few couple of like wellness clubs and things like
mm,
that, talking things out, going networking with other females, learning from them as to how they organize themselves, learning from people who are ahead in the journey, how, and so always asking, always curious to learn is I think what's helped me. And slowly I've now set like a timetable. I even have a timetable for myself for home. And that's like 1 hour of this, 1 hour, because I think it's then also I used to beat myself up quite a lot when I would be like, oh, I haven't finished this, I haven't finished this. But now setting this means that everything will get done, but it's got a
mm.
specific time rather than everything being urgent and everything needs to be done at the same time kind of stuff. So I've tried
Yeah.
to kind of balance things out a bit more that way.
So you have a busy home life. You've got two boys.
Yes.
How do you combine looking after them? I mean, they're 16 and 10, did you say?
And yes,
So
yes.
you have got your hands full there because I had the same age gap as you, nearly 7 years. So I know
Yeah.
how tricky that can actually be when you're juggling one going through their GCSEs and one about to start secondary school. It's quite a big gap and can be a bit tricky. So how are you managing that and running the business? What things can you share with other people that you do?
I think so again, this is a visual that I had seen. And when I started the business, that was a big thing that, oh, I'm gonna get time with my kids, which I
Mm,
had missed out all those years. I would attend their events at school, whereas before I was never one of the ones
mm,
because I was at school as well. So it
yourself.
was
Yeah.
so difficult. And I started seeing the joy. I started seeing the difference in their outlook towards me as well. We could have more conversations. It was much better. So I saw the positive side of it. However, I struggled with the juggle of being a mum, being there for them and stuff. So what I have started, I think, and a visual for that was, when we were going on a holiday back in 2024, and I think one of the airports, I can't remember probably, had different time zone clocks.
Mm,
And it made me realize something, which I think it's so obvious, but we still forget as human beings is we all have our own timelines.
mm,
So to do things, and it's a case of I now don't treat myself as behind or ahead. I'm on my own timeline. So my why of business has been my kids because now they've given me the joy. I bring the joy back. And I think it all comes from here. When you are joyful here, everything around you does become joyful. So I've kind of constantly re-anchored myself to my why. And that's how the juggle seems like a lovely part of it that I'm
mm.
getting to spend that much time running around. I keep saying that my mummy's taxi service is quite active these days because of GCSEs coming up. So yeah, but it's I think I've seen the joy of being a
Mm,
business owner because now I have the flexibility actually to be
mm.
able to schedule things around them as well. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a really lovely way of looking at it. So, what's on the plans for Hetal over the next year in your photography business? What are you hoping to achieve over the next 12 months?
I've started. One of the first events that I'm curating is a confidence experience event.
Mm,
So what I realized for Hetal and as a business, I think for Hetal it will be pursuing more and more, encouraging more and more women to step out of the comfort
mm,
zone, and that joy that I see on their face when they actually feel like they've done that, achieved that, is what for me is
mm,
inner pleasure. But I think from a business perspective, I've now that weaved in that joy. So what I realized was that a lot of the times when I used to put myself out of my comfort zone, I would have a massive dip in energy because I was exhausted by the time trying to come out of my comfort zone. So I'm trying to create small little experiences for people who are not ready for complete brand shoot, but also are kind of wanting to dip a toe there, but feel fearful. So I've collaborated with Positive Mindset Coach for the first ever time to kind of go through a session on reflection on their own inhibitions. These are all for them to look at, then come up with some positive affirmations, and then hired a nice shoot house location for them to get their headshots done. So this is a one of a kind. I mean, this is my first ever time I've curated something like this. So I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm hoping that when they actually get their pictures done, they will be a bit more relaxed because they've gone through that work, taken the time to reflect and reset before coming in front of the camera. So yeah, so
So
that's
you're
where I'm
almost
hoping.
helping them prepare them and then
Yes,
doing a mini shoot to
shoot.
give them the
Yes,
confidence to want to go, do you know what? I am ready to do this. I'm going to do a bigger shoot. Oh, that's a
yeah.
really good idea. I love that. I really love that. Well, it's been lovely talking to you today. What really comes across to me is your passion for photography. And the fact that your family had such belief in you, I think is really touching. And also, what comes across to me is how much you care about your clients, not just the clients you have now, but you're thinking about those future clients. So, Hetal, I know you're going to go from strength to strength and continue to win awards and continue to deliver amazing services to your clients. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Debbie. Thanks for having me.
If you've been listening to today's episode and you are interested in some brand photography with Hetal, then we will put her details into the show notes of this episode so you can contact her for more information. And thank you for joining me again, and I wish you every success.